It's the Daily Drama Podcast with Stephen Bradford, presented by dailydrama.com. Hi, Steve.
What's up, Brad?
So our viewers have watched. They've experienced quite the gauntlet of emotions over the last week, and that is due to the writing and, of course, the performances. And we have our guest today that has been an integral part of some great performances this week. He plays Danny on the show. We have Asher Antonyzyn. Hey, buddy.
What's up? How you doing?
Hey, man. So Steve,
What's up?
I was asking him about his gaming chair,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
yes, and I think he's,
well,
I think he, I,
he's a gamer and a sports guy. So we're gonna get to know this kid a little bit. So
that's
Yeah.
right, that's right. And we also just met your mom off screen here that was awesome. So,
Yeah.
yeah, what is
yeah.
has your family, what's their reaction to seeing the work you've been doing lately?
Well, my mom, she grew up like all she wanted to be was an actress, and she was a theater major in college, and to this day, she directs plays for our school. So, she's kind of living her dream through me and getting to watch all of this, and it's really cool for her.
That
That's awesome.
is amazing. So my wife, so both my wife and I trained in theater, and my wife, when we live up in Northern California now, when we first moved back here, she took over her high school's drama program and directed, and so like for a while, my kids, their mom was the drama teacher too. And
Wow.
did that? So was that your introduction to the arts? Is through your mom?
I mean, yeah, kind of not. Like when she did plays, our like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, they all had to be involved somehow. And it was either through stage crew, lights and cameras, or you're an actor. And I was never like sought out to be like in a school play. So I was just stage crew, kind of messing around with my friends. And like acting always seemed like it was super fun, but I was always little, nervous about it. I was never really big with like going out and doing all that stuff. And that's kind of like how I got started in a sense. Like my mom, she saw like an open casting call
Mm.
for like talent agency Model X Studios. They're back in Chicago. And I started taking classes with them.
So
And then
what did that turn for you in terms of like, oh, I don't really want to be on stage or in front of camera, but mom's like, you should do this. Like, so how did she convince you?
so I do a lot of like I do like sports with like my dad, and I've never really done something like that with my mom because that's
Mm.
her like interest and all that. So I kind of didn't want to say no at the beginning
Oh.
until like I started doing the classes, and I ended up really enjoying it because I never got to experience like all like the intricacies and all that stuff with acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I
So you started in the open call. You started to take classes,
yeah,
and so you got an agent from there? Is that how you started to audition and because you live in Chicago,
yeah,
right? And you
You
yeah,
still
travel back and
you still
forth.
commute?
yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
commutes
wow.
with his dad or his grandpa or sometimes his mom. Hopefully she'll get in the game here
hmm
so we can have her on set.
yeah.
Because Bradford definitely needs some acting tips.
I mean,
So 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 what happened? You got an agent, you start auditioning, and then I want to hear how this General Hospital audition came about.
So yeah, after taking the classes for about a year, they offer this thing called the IMTAs. It's where you go, you compete in a bunch of different like acting and modeling competitions. And we took the jump, we flew out to California. I was 12 years old, and that's how I did pretty well there. And that's how I discovered my agent and my manager. And then, I got through a ton of after I got them. I got a lot of self tapes and auditions, and then 6 months later, the audition for GH rolled in, and we thought it was a long shot, so we did it. And then 10 days later, we got a call saying they want to do an in person audition, and we're like, we have to fly out, and we don't even know if I'm
yeah,
gonna get it. So
right.
we
Sure.
threw the Hail Mary, and we went, and then we went in, we got a hotel, we went into the studio, and I did it. And I was so nervous. I did not know what to expect because this was General Hospital was my first job.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's
So I,
I,
crazy, dude. This is your first job?
yeah,
I love the
yeah,
sports
This is your
metaphor too. You're
first
speaking our
acting job
language.
ever.
yeah. This is my first acting job ever.
You've never, so did you ever do like a play back home or anything? You've done scene work, but you've never,
Wow.
General Hospital is like the first time you've played a
I, I
role.
I'm even more impressed now.
Yeah, yeah. It was
Wow.
and I just started like this
Sheesh.
stuff a couple years ago, and I didn't know the first
So,
thing about
okay. So how
acting.
old are you now?
I'm 15.
Oh, okay. So when you said this all happened when you were 12, I was like,
Oh
okay.
no,
So,
yeah,
but you just, I don't know, you carry yourself a little bit older. And I have a 13-year-old and she's short. So
yeah,
I get confused.
yeah. No,
And he's not. He like over our
No,
break, he
that's
yeah,
grew
what
a
I'm,
foot over our
that,
yeah.
break. I'm like,
that's what
wait a minute,
that's
dude.
what I'm
What are you
saying.
doing?
And you guys and you young kids and your hair makes you taller too. All
Oh yeah, it definitely does.
the,
So coming in here, coming into GH and not really having other experience to even compare it to, right? Like, because we always ask, when people come in prime time or they're doing movies or they're doing commercials or they're doing whatever theater even, and now
Mhm.
you come into GH your first job. I mean, what was it like? Was it like what you expected, or what did you expect?
I mean, not at all. It was super crazy like going there, and I was very lucky that my first scene was the Halloween scene. So that means all the kids were there, like
mm,
Hudson and Lily and Scarlett.
Yeah,
So they were all there. They helped me so much. Just like, okay, you got this. We're going here. Now we're doing this. So
sweet.
that was very helpful. And they were telling me, this is like the Halloween scene. I don't
this
know,
was
Bradford,
what
were you
year was
there?
this?
This was last year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Um,
not sure I was. I can't recall.
it took a very
But
long time because
Lily who plays Georgie.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was when all like the younger kids were there. So it was a very long day. And all
Mm.
like the parents were like, it's not normally this long. So I was like, okay, I don't know what to expect my second day now when I went back the next day. And my first scenes were with Kelly Monaco. So she helped me a lot, just learning all this stuff. And I've just picked up so much from you, Steve, from how to where to look and do all of that. It's crazy.
There's a lot of things that when you're doing scene work at a class in Chicago. I'm not sure if it was scene work for the classes that you took. Was that just basic acting classes, or was it acting for a specific genre? Was it acting for stage? Was it acting for film? What was it, or was it just acting?
It was just like acting like they would kind of give us like certain like scripts of like commercials or monologues,
Oh,
and
okay.
then they would kind of teach us how to make it, like,
But
give
you weren't
depth to
learning
that.
any technical elements. You weren't. Were you working
No,
with cameras at all?
no.
No. Right. So that's a totally
Wow.
different.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's a new ball game for
But
sure. I mean, talk about thrown into the fire without any experience at all.
sure.
But
But
what a
that
great place, to be thrown
Yes,
in
yes,
because, when you go on to do other stuff, you're obviously there's changes and nuances to every different, part of television and film. But man, I'll tell you, I'll just say this, like I guess we can jump into the emotional stuff that's been happening lately,
mm,
you know, because we've had conversations, Asher and I, about, um, sense memory and how to get to these emotions, and a lot of it's imaginative,
right.
or it's past things that have happened, and how to really train yourself to get there, in the moment, how to
Right.
get there quickly, and we've had those conversations for a couple months, right? Prior, like I think one of your biggest breakthroughs, which I told you right after, because when you have a new actor who's new and who hasn't maybe done this type of emotional stuff, the emotional stuff's not that easy really to do, and to be thrown into that often can be difficult. And that's where you sink or swim. And I
yeah,
think one of your biggest, the biggest scenes that we had that was a breakthrough was in the bus station,
yeah,
you know, where I was supposedly leaving, and you were there, and you found me, and we had these awesome scenes. Um, and then we started progressing to, obviously with Sam's death going on, and how all that has played out. So what what did you take away from that basically of what we talked about and how you prepared because you came prepared.
Yeah.
So what was that process for you like going, okay, this is where we were at the bus station, and then we've had a couple conversations and talked about getting there. What was it like for you? What'd you do?
So like the preparation was really like all you and I talked about like getting in that imaginative state of maybe it hasn't happened to me physically, but just imagining it and like wondering what my life would be like if I'm portraying as the character Danny, if I'm really in his shoes, which is a tough thing to think about. The really only thing I've prepared with is just our conversations we had with each other.
Wow.
Does your mom work with you still, or is it kind of? I mean, I know sometimes she's not out there when you're in LA, so you don't have the benefit of her tutelage. But the process that you're doing, what's your memorization process, and then what do you do after that? You're going into your imagination.
Yeah, so I work with an acting coach on
Ah,
mainly all my scripts and just the memorization, I read it over a couple times and then the main thing I do that helps me is just like, going into like say a bathroom with a mirror and just like going through the scenes with myself, just reading them back and forth off memory, just seeing myself how I look, knowing if I like want to change something, just
sure,
so I can see how I look through like a someone else's eyes.
for sure. Yeah, cool, man. Um,
That's awesome, man.
do you feel connected in the way that you want to feel connected? Like, are you do you feel successful in the moment? Are you happy with how it feels?
Like when I'm preparing, like say in like a mirror
No,
or
actually,
something.
when you get to do it, like,
Oh yeah, no,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like so far I've definitely um surprised myself on what I've been able to do just with the scenes recently. And it definitely is fun, like my scenes with Steve,
yeah,
just like feeding off him and doing all of that is really it's really surreal and feels so real with him.
yeah. One of the things that we talk about a lot is the relationships that we end up having with each other on our show because we work together so much and we, sometimes over months, some years, sometimes 5, 10 years, well, like,
Yeah.
and so you develop relationships with the people that you work with, and so sometimes you don't have to go too far into your imagination to access those emotions because you actually have feelings for the person you're working with. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a professional relationship, but you still care about them, right? So, like,
Yeah.
if you imagine the person that's been playing your mother dying, that you don't necessarily have to go too far out of what you're looking at, like the person you're dealing with, to access some feeling. Um, but so so like talking about your scenes with Steve, you guys have worked together enough that I'm sure you can feel the difference, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's you know, scenes with my TV dad. It's easy, treat him like actually with my real father.
Yeah,
And that has just been getting so much easier. The more I work with him, the more I work with other actors, just having that connection that I can kind of feed off, like
Yeah,
especially my scenes with Kelly and you, of course, Steve. So
yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man. You're doing an amazing job. I look forward to what our story is coming up. We just had some more great, fun scenes. One of the camera guys, Bruce, who he's on camera one. He
mm,
came up to me and was like, "Man, the kid's doing great." So,
yeah, Bruce is
and
awesome.
and Bruce was actually a director for a long time. I think it All My Children Are One Life to Live, also. So, um, I always appreciate his compliments because coming from a different, an all encompassing perspective. So he was very complimentary of you. So let's talk about your hobbies then, your spare time. I know you're a big baseball guy.
Yeah, big baseball guy. I got the fly the W Chicago Cubs flag in the
yeah.
back. Yeah. I spend a lot of time, with my friends, just messing around, playing video games, playing sports. And I'm a big guitar player. I got a couple back here, and I've been playing since I took a little break for COVID, but I started when I was like 6.
Wow.
So, and
Wow.
I
So do you
kind of
do you sing also?
no, not really. My sister, she's a she's in a like a school of rock band. She's a drummer and a singer. So
So you back
Cool,
her
man.
up?
That's awesome.
nah, not that good at singing. No.
No, but you're behind her, just like, I mean, yeah. Are you going to be
Her
the going to start a family band or what?
family band, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no, her band that she's in, they're a lot better than I am. There's
Ah,
some really good kids.
What do
that's
you
awesome.
what are your favorite songs to play on the guitar?
Mm. Um, hmm, I
What
don't know.
genre? Like, what are you playing? Like stuff that you and your friends listen to? Are you doing classic stuff? What are you doing?
Yeah, more like some music that me and my friends are listening to, like our day and age that are pretty popular.
Yeah,
Some of that stuff. And then, maybe I'll try and learn a song that my dad will know, just, impress him or something like that. I don't know.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What,
That's awesome, man.
talk a little bit about like the balance that you need to have in your life, because I mean, you find out what 2 weeks ahead of time that you got to come to LA. And how does that work with your school? How does that work with your activities? How does that work with your sleep and your
Yeah.
overall health?
Yeah. So balancing like this acting stuff with school and sports and, just being a regular kid, it's definitely gotten easier since I've started. I've been on the show for about a year, so that's when it all kind of started and got kind of I got kind of used to it. So with school, I'm in a public school and I have amazing teachers. They're really helpful. They can get my schoolwork virtually and they're
Yeah.
very lenient with
Awesome.
certain work.
I mean, with a public school, aren't there certain requirements for attendance though?
Yeah, a lot of the attendance I get excused
Hmm.
for, but there's like certain requirements I believe with like driver's ed
Okay.
where I you can only miss a certain amount of days.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then like baseball last year, we actually had to talk with Mark because like there was only certain I was like I was gone for too long where baseball was becoming a huge issue for like or it was becoming a huge issue for my baseball coaches with
Yeah.
me leaving. So in the month of April, I focused a lot on that and it worked out really well. So
Okay.
with our school and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, at some point you might have to be making a choice.
No, yeah, I understand that. And we kind of didn't really realize how um grateful we were that like Mark like did that for us. And that
Yeah,
like we didn't realize
it's
how big
awesome.
of a deal that was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So we'll
that's
definitely be
cool, man.
making one choice or the other this year.
Yeah.
But
I mean, has like because how many siblings do you have?
I have a sister.
Your sister, and she's older or younger?
She's 17. She's older.
She's 17. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, like a whole family, like it's so complicated when parents have jobs and lives and friends
Yeah.
and community
And
to
luckily
make
my
the.
dad, he can work from anywhere.
Oh, that's
So
good.
he
Awesome.
brings me out all the time. So, sometimes we'll have to after I'm wrapped up, finished, he will stay in the dressing room. He'll get his work done.
Which airport?
Sweet.
Which airport are you closer to? Midway or
Uh
O'Hare?
O'Hare,
Okay. So
Yeah.
do you fly into Burbank most times or LAX?
LAX.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Wow, you're doing it. You're doing it, man. O'Hare to
That's right.
LAX.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's
Oof.
crazy.
Well, you getting
Woo,
some
love it.
miles and some status on some airlines, or what are we doing
Yeah,
here?
yeah,
Yeah.
we are. We are. My dad's been pretty serious all about that stuff.
No, you got to be. If you're gonna do
Yeah.
it, you
Yeah.
gotta. Why not make the most of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, don't
Yeah.
be.
That's
Yeah,
true.
be intentional about it, because then you can go on family vacations together and stuff. And
That's
use it.
right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, we're gonna
Well,
try
Totally.
and
it sounds like you got a really good thing going. It's a pretty exciting year, huh?
yeah, it really has been.
What are your friends' reactions to this?
A lot of like they all think it's really cool. Like they're all like they're all really supportive of it and they're all
They just wish it was Outer Banks. That's all.
they
That's right.
yeah. I get a lot of jokes, a lot of people will be like, you could play this role just because it's a blonde character with blue eyes or something.
Sure.
Like no, yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like a lot of people were saying I looked like that JJ character. and then
Yeah.
play like a
All the
younger version
comparisons
of him.
come, buddy.
Yeah,
That's right.
they all
Yep.
do. They all do.
Well, and once you're
For
in the
sure.
business, people just assume the world's your oyster and you can just do any show you want to do, right?
Yeah.
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 We'd hear it all the time. Like, hey, why don't you get on 90210? Well, you don't just walk in and get on
Yeah.
a show. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
but awesome,
for
man.
We don't
Well, I'm
all book our first audition and land on
I
a show.
definitely did not.
It's
So,
awesome, man.
well, enjoy the ride, man. And it sounds like you have a great support system and you got a great head on
I
your
do.
shoulders. And you're
Thank you.
doing, as Steve has told me a bunch, and I've seen you, and you're just doing great work, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for making this work for us today, buddy.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure Steve's super jealous of the weather you're having in Chicago, getting nice and chilly.
It's actually raining at the moment, so
Fantastic.
I don't,
We
it's
love
pretty
rain.
cold out.
Oh yeah, great. California, it's just boring.
Blazing hot out there.
No, just boring.
Yeah.
That. I mean, I'm sure I've come from
It's not that boring.
coming from Chicago. You're like, this is great.
Yeah, I'll definitely brag to my friends. You know, they'll be back here in 35 degrees, and I'll be out there in 75.
Yeah,
So
not so bad.
Yeah, it's nice.
so bad.
That's for sure.
Yeah, no. As we get further into November and December, you're gonna be thrilled when those dates pop up in your calendar. Like, woo,
Oh,
I can
yeah.
get out of here.
The negatives, they're coming.
Awesome, man. All right, buddy. Well, enjoy the
All right,
weekend.
Asher.
Be well.
I'll see you back at the studio, pal.
I'll see you later.